this is where I see the people complaining. They're the ones that have refused to buy as the price got lower, and they're just watching their account dwindle instead of fixing, the average buy-in price because they ended up buying the top. This is the time you can either turn your portfolio completely around for the next cycle or light it on fire and just get rid of it.
I want to ask you this, Ewok. So this is kind of a more philosophical thing within the HEX ecosystem, and something, it's not quite the EHEX PHEX ratio or anything like that. But I heard, I've been watching more and more here and there, Corey Geary and Money Talks with Dane. They seem to stream together maybe at least once or twice a week. And they were talking about the idea of HEX on PulseChain, whether it could perform or should be looked at, or it doesn't matter what it should be looked at, I guess. But will it perform like a first cycle coin or a second cycle coin? Because obviously it is HEX. HEX originated on Ethereum. But this is a brand new chart also. The actual HEX on PulseChain chart is a new chart. There's no other history to go back and look at. So what do you make of that? I mean, I think it's an interesting. I don't know how much it matters, I guess, for us. If you're in it, you're going to be buying it anyway. Who really cares? But what do you think? I mean, because there will be people that are new to HEX, this is going to be a whole new chart for them. Could it perform like a first? Maybe that's why we'll start to see even more of an extended ratio. I mean, I still think they're going to move together and get closer. But what do you think? I mean, what could that do to HEX on Pulse? Do you think it performs like a first cycle token, which could mean crazy gains compared to what some people may be thinking?
So, good question. I think it will act like well, there's a lot of free tokens that were given out.
Yeah.
That's the big thing. A lot of people just got free copies. So will they be treated like free coins? I don't think so. But I don't think it's going to have a first cycle chart either. It's going to be a mix of the two. I don't know. Good question. It's going to be an interesting experiment. It's not going to 10,000x, I don't think, in this cycle. Although, there is the possibility depending on the liquidity. But I think having the start from the bottom is what really propelled HEX on Ethereum to have the chart that it did. I think you'll definitely tell it's a second cycle coin by the chart. And it's not going to be near as impressive. It's going to be one of those things where, we always tell people, well, you got to look at the V1 chart to see the whole thing, because even the V2 chart isn't accurate, because it only has so much data. It's going to be something very similar to that, where you're going to have to look at everything, kind of put them together in a, how you can view multiple charts on the same screen. Yeah, I don't think it's going to matter a whole lot, but yeah, I don't think it's going to be like a first cycle type coin where you're going to see the massive run-ups either. It's going to do well. I think we're going to do very well in this cycle, especially once all this stuff happens. I don't know how it will perform with all the stuff being free that was given out, the free copies. If people will value it more, obviously some people do value it more because they sold their EHEX to get the PX, right? So it's going to be an interesting experiment for sure.
Yeah.
How about you? What do you think it's going to do?
I think I would have to decide, if I was looking at both, that it would perform like a second cycle, because, people, even if they are new to HEX, they would still see the history of it, I think, by looking into it, see the PulseChain split and stuff like that. So I would have to think that. And then, I guess inevitably it does get you back to the question of the ratio. I saw the other day people were talking about, and I don't know where this originated from or who said it, but about the ratio of the two hexes potentially getting to as high as 10-1 at some point. I don't really know where that originated or why that would happen. I mean, I just can't really envision that. I forget who said it or what the talking points actually were. But that's the crazy thing about this, is all of this stuff is, new. Like, we haven't actually seen a fork exactly like this before. and seen the asset actually copied over like this, and an entire system state of Ethereum actually copied over.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's going to be crazy, I think, just to see what actually performs how here. I had another point about this that I am now rambling and forget what it was, but yeah, we just have to have more people get back into this market. That's the big thing. And I know what I was going to say. We were alluding earlier in the show to people getting back to the idea of yield, getting back and realizing the idea of how great HEX is and everything, the shiny new toy syndrome wearing off from PulseChain and PulseX. When do you think, we can say that till we're blue in the face? Like you and I obviously are major fans of HEX and earn yield on it. Johnny and Briz in the chat tonight obviously are. We're seeing a lot of like HEX old heads like Crispy Man and Matty Allen. Like everybody's talking about that, and they're right because they've been around and they've seen it and everything. Johnny and Matty were saying the other night that they wouldn't even be here if they weren't staked. Like they wouldn't have what they have right now and they wouldn't even be here. So when, if ever, I guess, I mean, I think it will happen, but when will these noobs, for lack of a better term, not trying to hate on anybody, just using it affectionately, but like when will the newer people come back to that, do you think? I totally understand everybody wanting to clamor and buy Pulse and PulseX right now. I totally do get that. But to me, to not have whatever you have in those two tokens equal in your HEX bags, if not more for the T shares, and more importantly, having the T shares.
Yep.
I think you'd be making a mistake. So when will people realize the yield available with HEX? And I'm not even saying that they have to be like a 15, 5555 max stake person or anything like that. But when do you think that the interest gets back into that whenever we start going down again? And people are like, man, I wish I had yield during this time. I mean,
well,
I don't know.
Yeah. No, I think it's going to take a bunch of green candles for people to FOMO back in because that's how they do it. The idiots that are selling right now, I don't get it. I hate to say that, but the people that are selling right now, they're not going to make it. They need to be flushed out. Maybe they'll buy back in later, maybe they won't, but that's what it's going to take again, are some green candles for people to get excited. They always, seem to flock in as the price gets higher. And yeah, Johnny said it. They chase pumps. They always do. They always have. Nothing has changed. They'll buy the top again and sell the bottom of the next cycle. It's just, people have to get wrecked in order to learn the lessons. And the ones that were here last cycle, maybe they will learn that again and figure it all out. It is a learning process, and that's why some of us are much more calm during bear markets than others that are freaking out and the sky's falling kind of thing. So it's time. It all takes time. I think the markets, we don't know. The uncertainty of the regular traditional markets are definitely going to play a part in this. So it all has to play out. And unfortunately, like I said, this cycle could be a lot longer. The downturn could be a lot longer than normal. So.
Yeah, I think so too. People are going to come back to it. It just is going to take time. It'll be fascinating, I think, to see the newer investors as they do come into this market again. Yeah. Seems like it's so far away, but it's going to be here eventually. I mean, it's probably going to be in another calendar year. But hey, we still have some bullish things that could happen by the end of this year. There's going to be more innovation. And as long as this time seems right now, it's been, 10 weeks or so, almost on the nose, actually, since PulseChain launched. There's going to be a time where this seems like a blip on the radar, and you don't want to regret it and having wasted your time during this time. I mean, even though Pulse is up off the lows right now, PulseX is too. They barely are. You're still basically buying the lows right now,
pretty much.
So, yeah, they're both.
And yeah, this is the time to do it. This is the time to be making those gains. Is slow and steady. We always go back to that video that Coffee had done. If you had bought $100, what was it, every week or every religiously, you would still be a millionaire. Even if you bought the whole way up and the whole way back down. So, now's when you take the opportunity to get these prices that you may never see again. When HEX did its best the last time, there were a lot of people locked up. People will start to see that, and it's education. It definitely is teaching the people, teaching your onboards. This is how you yield. And as the more HEX gets locked up, the less is available for sale. That can really just take the price and just shoot it through the roof. I mean, it doesn't take much, especially when things start to get locked up and not available for sale anymore.
Yeah. And even if, if you are newer to HEX and the idea of staking out long term freaks you out, or you've seen all this volatility in crypto over the course of the last 2 years, you don't necessarily have to do that. I mean, if you have a bag big enough that even just staking for the next calendar year or two, if you think that this bull cycle could, go until then, if it gets you at least a T share anyway, I mean, you would want to shoot for as many as you can get. You might as well do that. I mean, there's plenty of great HEX calculators out there where you can see how much HEX you can earn within that time. And that's a solace to a lot of people, honestly, right now, because, you've DCA'd and DCA'd and DCA'd, and the price just keeps staying stagnant, and you run out of money to DCA with. At some point, it's like, how can I do this if I don't have any more money to do it? Well, if you're yielding on HEX, and not emergency and staking it to participate in like a temporary liquidity pool or something like that, you're DCAing into that every single day. So, and remember, other things are out there as well. It sounds like single-sided staking on PulseX isn't necessarily a priority for Richard Hart, but it sounds like that's coming eventually too. So just get into the market however you can. I think that's pretty much more of the story right now. You got anything else? There you walk. I hear someone you're back in there.
Yeah, I was going to just share this.
That coffee
video. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. It's good to have messages like that right now. There we go. Oh, cool. Johnny, I think, put it in.
Yeah, Johnny pinned it, and he sent it to he private messaged me. And
there we go. Sweet. I got you. Okay. Well, I think that's going to wrap us up for this week. Did you have anything else you wanted to cover there, Ewok?
I don't think so. Just keep chugging ahead. Dollar cost average. This is the time. This is the time where it really makes a difference down the road. Get your average cost down. Or if it's already down there, just accumulate on top of it. This is where I see the people complaining. They're the ones that have refused to buy as the price got lower, and they're just watching their account dwindle instead of fixing, the average buy-in price because they ended up buying the top. So, This is the time you can either turn your portfolio completely around for the next cycle or light it on fire and just get rid of it because I saw somebody here earlier comment that, I regret ever buying HEX or Pulse.
Saw that too.
Yeah. Sorry, you're having a bad time, but you must not be doing this the right way. If you bought it high, which a lot of people did, that means you're not really fixing your situation. You're just kind of wallowing in your own problems instead of fixing it. So I don't know. I don't feel. I hate to see people buy tops. I do, but what we can do is educate them on how to fix that dollar cost average on the way down, so that the next cycle they're in much better shape, and they only have to wait until 8 or 10 cents before they're in profit, rather than wait until 40 cents, because that's a long wait. And then when you get there. Yeah, who's to say how much further it goes? I mean, obviously, we're going to get back to all-time highs. When, we don't know. So, you're at least looking at a 50x. For EHEX, you're looking at a 25x for PHEX. Take your average cost down and help yourself out so that you're in much better shape for the next one. So that's what I got.
Yeah, Khalid, if you French fry when you need a pizza, you're going to have a bad time. Just remember that from South Park, obviously, like Ewok said. So